The Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, northern Ukraine. Tonight, the temperature is negative 64 degrees Celsius. That is 83 degrees below the freezing point of water. At this temperature, exposed skin begins to die in under 4 minutes. Unprotected lung tissue sustains permanent damage within 8. A fire that goes out in the night is not an inconvenience. It is a cause of death. One person lives here. She has lived here for 38 years. She woke up at 3 in the morning. She did not need an alarm. She has never needed an alarm. 8 minutes. That is how long it takes her to dress for a 40-meter walk. Balaclava, headscarf, quilted vest, wool coat, safety pins where the buttons no longer exist, double wool stockings, cracked rubber boots repaired with electrical tape at the left sole, cotton inner gloves, leather outer mittens. She has performed this sequence every morning since April of 1986. She does not think about it. Thinking about it would mean it was unusual. It is not unusual. It is Tuesday. Her morning meal is a broth, 2 dried potatoes, water she filtered herself, dried herbs from a plant she has kept alive in a window box since 1991. She eats standing up, facing the frost-covered window. There is nothing outside the window worth seeing. She looks anyway. On the table there is a notebook. She has filled 14 of them since 1986. Each entry contains one piece of information, a number, the temperature, nothing else. She has never written anything after the number. That changes today, but that comes later. She inspects the ceiling every morning for new points of frost penetration. There are 11 penciled circles on the ceiling above her. Each one marks a structural failure she has noted and not yet been able to repair. This morning there is a 12th. She draws the circle. She puts the pencil away. She sits down to mend a sock. Outside the window, the sky begins the transition from black to gray. This is what passes for dawn in the exclusion zone in January. It does not get brighter than gray. She knows this. She has stopped waiting for it to. 200 meters from the house, under approximately 60 centimeters of river ice, she maintains 2 fish traps. Checking them requires crossing ground she has assessed for radiation every morning for 38 years. It requires chipping through ice that refreezes overnight, and it requires removing her glove. She must reach barehanded into water that is 4 degrees above freezing. She counts to 4. She has always counted to 4. At 4, she withdraws her hand and replaces the mitten. Her hand is the color of a burn injury. This morning, she has 2 fish. That is sufficient. Sufficient is the standard she applies to everything. She abandoned the concept of good years ago. Beside the wood stove, there is a wall. On it, going back to what appears to be the early 1990s, 3 times a day, every day, for 38 years, she checks the radiation dosimeter. At approximately 1 in the afternoon, she goes to the woodshed. It is 40 meters from the back door. She has walked this path 10,000 times. She knows every meter of contaminated snow between the door and the shed. She is a 72-year-old woman who has survived in the most radioactive inhabited place on Earth for 38 years by making correct decisions quickly. She kneels. She carries it against her chest inside her coat. She left the canvas bag of firewood on the floor of the shed. She chose the animal over the logs. In negative 64 degrees Celsius, that is not a sentimental decision. It is a statement of priority that has consequences she is fully aware of. Inside, she examines the fused tissue with clinical attention. The skin is intact. There is no inflammation. There is no infection. The fusion is not an injury that happened to this animal. When she fits the wrap, the animal stands perfectly still. It has decided about her. She asks it to walk. Its involuntary arc to the left is smaller than before. She looks at the ceiling for 1 second, then she returns to work. At 1300 hours, she takes both fish from the cold shelf. Not one, both. She is not cooked for more than one organism since a date she has not written in the notebook. She feeds it from her open palm. The radiation burn scar on her right hand is clearly visible beneath the food. The animal eats from the scar. It does not flinch at the texture. At approximately 1330 hours, she returns from the stove and the crate is empty. The animal is not in the room. The front door is ajar. Outside, in the contaminated snow, there are paw prints. They move in arcs to the left. Circle after circle, each one describing the same involuntary leftward pull of a fused limb. The tracks lead toward the forest boundary, 80 meters. The tracks show wind fill. Time has passed. She is standing at the open door in her indoor clothing. It is negative 64 degrees. An 8-week-old wolf pup with a fused limb and no mother has been in the exclusion zone for an unknown number of minutes. She closes her eyes for exactly 2 seconds. Then she begins to dress. This is her 6th outdoor exposure today. She is 72 years old. She dresses. She finds it 60 meters from the forest edge, curled inside the hollow of an exposed root. Instinct functioning inside a defective body. She carries it back inside her coat against her chest. Her left arm holds it. Her right arm is out for balance. She walks more carefully than usual. She is carrying something she cannot afford to drop. The rewarming protocol.
Still
Body
cold,
heat
but
first.
not bad yet. Oh, boy.
Not direct stove heat.
Almost there.
Body heat. She sits in the chair beside the stove and holds it inside her coat for the time required. She does not rush this. Rushing is how animals die during rewarming. She knows this. When its shivering subsides, she reaches down from the chair and places her hand on its back. She initiated this contact. She did not wait for it to come to her. Her hand on its back. That evening, she opens the
November
notebook.
20, 2042, minus 64. Today was different.
In the top drawer of the wooden cabinet, there is a dog collar, brown leather, small, a medium small dog. On the metal tag in Cyrillic letters, a name, Misha. On the inside of the leather, pressed into the aging material, barely visible, a child's fingernail mark. It is small. It was made when the leather was soft. The boy in the photograph on the south wall is holding something. It is a stuffed dog. It has a collar. She does not cry. She closes her eyes. There is a difference. At 2100 hours, the stove receives its evening log. She adds it. She goes to bed. He is at the foot of the bed before she arrives. She lies down. Her feet find him without searching. Everything exactly as it has been for 38 years. She closes her eyes. She does not get up to check the room. She knows where everything is. She goes back to sleep. She has not done that at 3 in the morning since before the disaster. The next morning, the temperature is the same. She checks the thermometer, negative 64. She performs the ritual. She moves to the door. She steps around him on her way to the stove. She did not look down first. Her body already knows where he is. Her body learned this in one night. She applies petroleum jelly to his fusion tissue. He closes his eyes. She does this every morning now. It has been 2 mornings. It is already every morning.
Watch.
She opens the notebook. Negative 64. Then more. He wakes for the stove check. She walks around him without looking. She adds the log. She turns. She looks at him sleeping. She has not done this before, at this hour, with nothing in her hands. She looks at him for a long time. Then she goes back to bed. On the third morning, she sits on the edge of the bed before standing. She looks at him sleeping at her feet for 10 seconds. She counts. Then she stands. Then she goes to the stove. The 10 seconds were the first 10 seconds she has spent in 38 years doing nothing in this house.
Mainages 64.
She did not find it wasteful.
More than yesterday.
On the third day, the thermometer reads -61, 3 degrees warmer than the previous 2 days. She checks it twice. She does not celebrate this. 3 degrees in the exclusion zone in January is meteorological variation, not improvement. She touches the glass of the thermometer for 1 second before moving away.
I have seen.
Just 1 second. The animal has discovered something. If it begins each step with its right shoulder leading and its weight shifted hard right, the involuntary arc to the left is smaller. It discovered this through repetition, through falling and trying again, through the specific intelligence of a body that has no option but to work with what it was given. She watches it figure this out. She puts down her work to watch. She does not help. She understands that this is not the kind of problem that benefits from help. On the third day, they eat at the table together. He is on the chair she modified. She is on the opposite chair. The table has had one person at it for 38 years. Both chairs are occupied. The worn geometric rug beneath them, the stove burning. The window showing contaminated snow. All of it the same, none of it the same. She stands before the photograph for 11 seconds. She has always stood for 6. She touches the frame. She has never touched the frame before. Her finger on the tarnished wood for 2 seconds. Then she turns. That night she pushes the drawer closed. She reaches from the bed across the gap. Her arthritic fingers find the drawer face. She pushes it completely shut. The click of it seating in the frame. She withdraws her arm. She looks at the closed drawer for a moment. Then she looks at the ceiling. Then she closes her eyes. Before bed, she makes a mark on the tally wall, the log count mark as always. Then, below all the log marks, in a clean space beneath 38 years of accumulated data, she makes a different mark. A single vertical line. The beginning of a new tally. She does not write what it counts. She puts the pencil away. On the fourth morning, she brings him outside. For the first time in 38 years, the snow around this house shows more than one living creature's passage. Her boot prints going straight, his paw prints arcing left beside them. 2 sets of tracks in the contaminated snow of the exclusion zone, leading from the house and back. They stand at the stove together after returning from the cold, both of them facing the fire, both of them warming. He does not look up at her. She does not look down at him. They are both simply warm, and that is sufficient. Sufficient is still the standard. But the room in which that standard is applied now contains 2. In the exclusion zone, there are approximately 90 species of wildlife that have returned since the evacuation of 1986. Wolves, wild boar, brown bears, lynx, hundreds of bird species. The absence of humans created conditions in which life, even damaged life, could persist. There is one human who never left. Outside the window, the temperature is -61 degrees. The chimney smoke rises and crystallizes 2 meters above the roof. The amber light in the single window pulses once. 2 sets of tracks in the snow from this morning have not yet filled with wind. The house is inhabited. It has always been inhabited. It is inhabited differently now.